Welcome. The director's voice resonated through the hall. He was a tall, thin man with a fused gold beast, a royal phoenix whose golden feathers intertwined with his white hair, to the most prestigious institution of beast cultivation and evolution. Ren watched fascinated. His new knowledge allowed him to see some of the phoenix's mana patterns, the complexity of its evolution, though everything related to gold-rank beast cultivation remained nebulous in his mind. Over the next 8 years, you will learn not only to strengthen your beasts, but to understand the very nature of the bond between tamer and creature. Some of you will reach silver rank. A few, very few, might go beyond. His gaze paused briefly on Luna, whose Shadow Wolf had gold potential. Then, almost imperceptibly, on Ren. However, he continued, rank isn't everything. History is full of tamers who achieved the impossible with seemingly weak beasts. Everything depends on your dedication, your understanding, and above all, your willingness to see beyond the obvious. The whispers began immediately. Everyone knew it was a diplomatic lie, a way to console those who, like Ren, had bad luck in their invocation. Of course, to Ren the irony of the message sounded different. The professors will assign your dormitories and schedules. Classes begin tomorrow at first light. The director paused. One last thing. At the Imperial Academy, we value individual progress, but also contribution to society. We don't reward direct abuse based on beast rank. Social levels depend on each other, so you'll lose points for misbehavior, but gain points for contributing. Everyone has potential. Don't waste it. This time, his gaze clearly stopped on the group that had beaten and threatened Ren in the carriage. The tiger boy shifted uncomfortably. As the students began to disperse, Ren noticed something curious. The mushrooms in his hair pulsed with a different rhythm near certain areas of the hall, as if responding to a powerful stimulus beneath the floor. Knowledge flowed through his mind. Perhaps the academy had indeed been built on ancient ruins where he might find the runes he needed without buying them if he was lucky. All first-year students, this way. A professor's voice interrupted his thoughts. It's time to assign dormitories. Ren followed the crowd, but his mind was already working. The academy held more secrets than it appeared, and he had 8 years to discover them. Room 15, Grey Wing, announced the professor, a trace of pity in her voice as she handed Ren the key. The name was a cruel euphemism. It wasn't really grey, it was where they sent students with limited potential. Though even there, Ren was a special case. He was truly the bearer of a failed grey egg. They hadn't had one in decades. The dormitory was spacious but austere, designed for 4 students. His roommates were already there. Min, a thin boy with a water snake, Taro, more robust, with a digger beetle, and Liu, tall and quiet with a night bat. All iron rank beasts, yes, but at least they had evolution potential up to bronze. Or that's what everyone believed, but Ren could see their cultivation routes up to silver 3 like all other beasts. The mushroom boy. Min smiled when Ren entered. There was no malice in his voice, just a kind of resigned camaraderie. I guess it makes sense they put us together. Ren dropped his bag on the last available bed, aware of the curious glances toward the mushrooms in his hair and the bruise on his eye. Your spore. Does it do anything besides glow? Asked Taro. Ren hesitated. After the incident in the carriage, he didn't want to draw more attention to himself. It gives a 10% increase to my strength, he said simply. And it has something good. I don't need lamps. More pitying looks. An uncomfortable silence followed his words. The others exchanged glances, the kind you give someone who won't accept a painful truth. Hey, Min tried to sound cheerful. It's not so bad. Liu's bat has good perception, Taro added. Not everything is about pure power. You're right, it's not so bad, Liu said from his corner. I'm a second-year student, but I failed 2 units. That's why I'm still in this dormitory. My first year here taught me that initial rank isn't everything. My bat seemed useless at first, but with the right training. While Liu shared advice about life in the Grey Wing, Ren observed his companions. He could clearly see how Min's snake needed fresh water, instead of salt water in its crystals to develop its true potential, how Taro's beetle needed to be fed processed crystals during a specific moon phase to advance along the correct path and not mature. Perhaps, he thought, when they knew each other better, when they trusted each other, he could share some of his knowledge, at least enough to help them. While unpacking, the mushrooms in his hair pulsed with that strange rhythm again. There was something under the Grey Wing, something ancient. Maybe being in the worst dormitory wasn't so bad after all, especially if what he sensed was correct, and the ancient ruins extended right beneath their feet. Liu! Ren approached the second-year student after the others began organizing their things. Where can I get discarded monster parts? You know, cores, beast remains, materials, and bronze crystals? Liu stopped organizing his trunk and looked at Ren with both pity and amusement. Straight to the point, eh? He sighed. Look, a few years ago, the Academy distributed resources equitably. Every student received what they needed to try evolving their beast, regardless of potential rank, to search for possible hidden cultivation paths. He sat on his bed, his night bat fluttering restlessly above his head. But everything changed. Now it works on a merit system. You have to prove you're worth investing in. Liu grimaced. Basic support is miserable, barely enough for decent beasts to reach bronze rank with great effort. 1 measly crystal daily. But I need those materials, Ren insisted, especially venomous fungi, bronze parts, and runes. Runes? Liu let out a dry laugh. Those are extremely expensive. They only give them to elite beasts, ones with real potential, and only for passing from silver to gold. The rest have to earn them with results. He looked at the mushrooms in Ren's hair. No offense, but nobody's going to waste resources like that on a spore. Why not? Because experiments with fungi always fail. Always. The school keeps records of every attempt. The best result was a mature fungus that gave a 20% strength increase, and it cost more resources than evolving 3 normal beasts to silver. Ren clenched his fists. If Liu knew what he knew now, if he could explain the true evolution paths. But there are other ways to get resources, Liu murmured. There's the teaching unit system, he continued. If you manage to pass all 5 units this semester, they'll promote you from Iron to Bronze 1. Instead of 1 crystal daily, you'd receive 10. 10 times more? Ren's eyes widened. At Silver 1 it would be 100. Liu gave a dry laugh. But that's not until 4th semester, and only if you pass the first 3 without failing any units. He looked at the mushrooms in Ren's hair. Though honestly, I doubt you'll achieve much in the battle unit and cultivation. He shook his head. What happens if I fail? Every 3 failed units you lose a point. If you lose 3 points... Liu made a cutting gesture with his hand. Goodbye to all support. The most you can do is try to pass 3 units and avoid getting expelled from the system. Ren nodded slowly, processing the information. The system was brutal, but the rewards were significant. Listen, Liu leaned forward. I'm telling you this because I like you and honestly feel a bit sorry for you. Don't get your hopes up. Focus on surviving the 8 years. Learn what you can, but don't expect miracles. If I were you, Liu lowered his voice, I'd focus on recovering part of what tuition cost. The fees are high, but with enough work in the gathering zones, you could get them to double your resources and recover at least a 5th part in the next 8 years. Double? How does that work? Ren asked.
Wait, that's not the end. You've just had a free taste. Now get the full story on the Pocket FM app, link in description. Check out our next video and playlist, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.